The ocean was silent the morning the world realized America had become something entirely new. Before dawn, radar screens flickered to life. Aircraft carriers cut through steel blue water. Submarines moved invisibly beneath the surface. Thousands of miles away, bombers waited on runways, fueled and armed. Satellites orbited overhead, linking commanders across continents in seconds. The transformation had not happened overnight, but by the mid-20th century, the United States possessed a military reach no nation in history had ever assembled. Yet the astonishing truth is this: the American military did not begin as a powerhouse, it began as a fragile experiment. In 1775, the 13 colonies that would become the United States had no professional standing army worthy of comparison to European empires. Britain commanded the strongest navy on earth. Its red-coated regiments were disciplined, experienced, and supported by a global supply network. The colonists had farmers, merchants, blacksmiths, and a belief that they could govern themselves. Under the leadership of George Washington, the Continental Army endured freezing winters, shortages of food and ammunition, and repeated defeats. Victory came not through overwhelming force, but through endurance, alliances, especially with France, and a strategic understanding that survival itself was resistance. When the Treaty of Paris was signed in 1783, the United States had proven that military power could be born from organization and resolve rather than tradition alone. After independence, the young republic distrusted standing armies. Many Americans feared centralized military authority, associating it with tyranny. The early U.S. Army remained small, focused on frontier defense. The Navy, too, was modest until piracy and foreign threats forced Congress to invest in frigates that would defend American commerce. The War of 1812 exposed vulnerabilities. British forces burned Washington, D.C., including the Capitol and the White House. The humiliation was sobering. It taught American leaders that sovereignty required preparedness. Gradually, military institutions matured. West Point trained officers in engineering and discipline. The Navy expanded its reach, protecting trade routes and projecting presence abroad. But it was the Civil War that fundamentally reshaped American military capacity. When conflict erupted in 1861, the United States split into Union and Confederate forces. What followed was one of the deadliest wars in modern history. Industrialization met warfare at scale. Railroads transported troops rapidly. The telegraph enabled real-time communication across vast distances. Ironclad ships clashed in revolutionary naval battles. Factories churned out rifles and artillery in numbers never before seen on the continent. President Abraham Lincoln understood that victory would depend on industrial superiority as much as battlefield tactics. The Union's manufacturing strength ultimately overwhelmed Confederate resources. When the war ended in 1865, the United States had learned that modern warfare demanded coordination between government, industry, and transportation networks. In the decades that followed, the country turned inward to rebuild and expand westward, yet industrial growth accelerated at astonishing speed. By the late 19th century, American steel production rivaled Europe's. Rail lines connected coasts. Oil, coal, and iron fueled factories. Economic power laid the foundation for future military strength. The Spanish-American War in 1998 marked America's emergence onto the global stage. In a brief but decisive conflict, the United States defeated Spain and acquired territories including Puerto Rico and the Philippines. Naval strategist Alfred Thayer Mahan had argued that sea power determined national greatness. His ideas influenced policymakers who expanded the U.S. Navy into a formidable force capable of operating beyond coastal defense.
By the early 20th century, American shipyards produced modern battleships. The Great White Fleet, a group of U.S. Navy vessels, circumnavigated the globe between 1907 and 1909, signaling American naval ambition to the world. Still, when World War I erupted in 1914, the United States initially remained neutral, but industrial ties to the Allies and German submarine warfare shifted public opinion. In 1917, America entered the conflict. Within months, millions of soldiers were mobilized and transported across the Atlantic. The American Expeditionary Forces provided fresh manpower at a moment when European armies were exhausted. The war demonstrated America's ability to project military force overseas on a massive scale. It also revealed the power of coordinated industry. Factories shifted to wartime production with remarkable efficiency. When the war ended in 1918, the United States had proven that it could mobilize rapidly and influence global outcomes. Yet the interwar period saw another reduction in military spending. Many Americans hoped the world could avoid further catastrophe. That hope dissolved in 1941. The attack on Pearl Harbor shocked the nation to total mobilization. Within days, Congress declared war. Within months, American factories were operating across the clock. The phrase "arsenal of democracy" captured the scale of transformation. Automobile plants converted to tank production. Women entered industrial jobs in unprecedented numbers. Scientific research accelerated in secret laboratories. By 1944, the United States was producing aircraft at a rate unmatched in history. Liberty ships were assembled in days rather than months. American forces fought in North Africa, Europe, and across the Pacific simultaneously. The coordination required to land troops on the beaches of Normandy on D-Day was staggering. Thousands of ships, aircraft, and vehicles synchronized in a single operation. By 1945, the United States possessed not only conventional military superiority, but also a weapon that redefined warfare: the atomic bomb. The Manhattan Project had united scientists, engineers, and military planners in a top-secret effort that demonstrated the fusion of scientific innovation and national defense. World War II left much of Europe and Asia devastated. The United States, though scarred, retained its industrial capacity. It emerged as a superpower with global responsibilities. The establishment of the United Nations and alliances such as NATO reflected a strategic shift. American military strength would support a network of partnerships designed to prevent future global wars. The Cold War introduced a new form of competition. Direct conflict between superpowers risked nuclear annihilation. Instead, deterrence became the guiding principle. Intercontinental ballistic missiles, nuclear submarines, and strategic bombers formed a triad designed to ensure that any attack would result in devastating retaliation. This concept, mutually assured destruction, maintained a tense equilibrium for decades. American forces engaged in proxy conflicts in Korea and Vietnam, demonstrating both capability and limits. Superior firepower did not guarantee political victory. These wars sparked debate at home about the use of military force and the human cost of intervention.